The penthouse suite of the Kessler residence gleamed with understated luxury. Dominic Kessler stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle, the city he'd helped build. A man of 42 with sharp features and calculating gray eyes, he watched raindrops race down the glass like tears he refused to shed. Behind him, his home felt increasingly foreign. Family photos adorned walls and shelves, smiling faces that masked growing distance. Dominic ran security for Meridian Holdings, one of the nation's premier private security firms. He protected the secrets of billionaires and corporations, but couldn't secure his own family's loyalty. "Dad, I need $800 for the school trip," Haley announced, not bothering to look up from her phone as she entered his home office. Dominic turned. His daughter had grown so much these past years, 13 going on 30, with her mother's auburn hair and his analytical eyes. "The Catalina Island marine biology trip. That's not for 3 months," he replied. Haley rolled her eyes. "Mom said you'd complain about money. You know, the thing you're always gone making." The barb stung, but Dominic maintained his composure. "I've never complained about supporting your education. Whatever. Just e-transfer it. I told Brooke we'd go shopping for new swimsuits tomorrow." As she turned to leave, Dominic noticed the new diamond earrings she wore. He hadn't bought them. "Those are new," he observed. Haley's hand reflexively touched one. "Mom's friend got them for me. He says I have good taste, unlike some people." The implication hung in the air. Dominic nodded once, filing away the information like evidence. "I'll transfer the money tonight." After she left, Dominic returned to the window. 3 years ago, he'd noticed the first signs. Late-night texts Vanessa shielded from view, business meetings that ran suspiciously late, perfume that wasn't from bottles he'd gifted her. His security training had taught him patience, observation before action. He'd waited, watched, documented. His marriage to Vanessa had been corroding for years, but he needed to understand the full scope of the betrayal before responding. The front door opened. Vanessa's laughter floated through the penthouse, followed by a deep male voice. Dominic remained still, listening as his wife and her colleague, Arnold Thorne, entered. Arnold's visits had become increasingly frequent, consulting sessions for the art gallery Vanessa managed, supposedly. "Let me get those files from my study. Dominic should be out until late," Vanessa's voice carried down the hall. Dominic slipped into his adjoining bathroom, leaving the door cracked. Vanessa entered the office, startled to find it empty. The Seattle skyline glittered behind Arnold Thorne as he topped off Vanessa's wine glass in his downtown office. At 48, Thorne possessed the easy confidence of old money and ruthless ambition. His art dealership served as a perfect front for his real business, acquiring valuable properties through whatever means necessary. "To the Westlake acquisition," Arnold toasted, "and to my brilliant gallery director, who makes everything look legitimate." Vanessa clinked her glass against his. At 39, she remained striking, her calculated beauty maintained through rigid discipline and expensive treatments. The zoning board never suspected a thing. Speaking of not suspecting, Arnold set his glass down. "Does your husband have any idea about us? About any of this?" Vanessa laughed. "Dominic, he's brilliant with security systems, but blind to what's happening in his own home. The man's built an emotional fortress, completely detached. It makes everything easier. And the Meridian Holdings information, any progress. He keeps the sensitive material locked down tight. But I'm working on it. The Kuwait project could be our biggest opportunity." Arnold leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. "Excellent. Keep pushing. We need that intel to secure our next move." Vanessa nodded, her eyes gleaming with a mix of determination and cunning. "I won't let you down, Arnold. I know what's at stake." Arnold's phone buzzed on the desk. He glanced at it, his expression darkening slightly. "Speak of the devil. Dominic's business partner, Grant, just texted me. Something about a secured deployment in Kuwait. Sounds like Dominic will be out of the country soon. Vanessa's lips curled into a smirk. Perfect timing. The more he's away, the easier it will be to gather the information we need. Arnold raised his glass again. To opportunities and the absence of obstacles. May Dominic's travels be long and frequent. Vanessa laughed, clinking her glass against his once more. To opportunities, she echoed, her eyes gleaming with a cold, calculated light. Once we know which properties they're securing, we can move ahead of the market. Arnold moved behind her, hands settling on her shoulders. And Haley, she's still on board. Children are simple, Vanessa replied with a quiet chuckle. Give them attention and gifts, and they're loyal. She hardly speaks to Dominic anymore. Vanessa leaned back against him. After Haley's birthday next week, I think we should accelerate our timeline. The divorce will give me access to his assets, including those offshore accounts he thinks I don't know about. What Vanessa didn't know was that Dominic Kessler sat in his car across the street, a directional microphone pointed at Arnold's office window. The vibration pattern from their voices against the glass translated into crystal-clear audio through his specialized equipment. He'd been tracking their conversations for months. Each revelation was catalogued, each betrayal documented. 3 days later, Dominic sat across from Grant Reardon at a secluded table in Canlis restaurant. At 45, Grant had been Dominic's friend since their Navy days, before they founded Meridian Holdings together. The Kuwait deployment is legitimate, Dominic confirmed quietly. But someone's been feeding information about our security assessments to outside interests. Grant's expression darkened. Inside job. Very inside. Dominic slid a folder across the table. My wife and Arnold Thorne. They've been working together for at least 2 years. Romantic involvement. Yes, but it's more than that. They're using leaked security assessments to make property acquisitions ahead of announcements. Grant examined the contents, his face grim. This is unbelievable. Your own wife. And this has been going on how long? Long enough. Dominic's voice remained steady. But that's not all. They're planning to use my daughter against me. Vanessa's been manipulating Haley, turning her against me to strengthen her position for divorce. What are you going to do? Go to the authorities. Dominic's eyes revealed nothing. I have a different approach planned, one that requires your help and absolute discretion. The conversation shifted to logistics. Grant would need to manage certain aspects of Meridian, while Dominic implemented his plan. Financial arrangements, contractual obligations, contingencies for every scenario. They prepared for everything. There's one more thing, Dominic added as they prepared to leave. I need access to Project Lazarus. Grant froze. The digital ghost protocol. DOM, that's designed for high-risk assets in hostile territory, not domestic disputes. This isn't a domestic dispute. It's a coordinated attack on everything I've built, including Meridian. Dominic's tone left no room for argument. Will you help me? After a long moment, Grant nodded. I'll set it up. But Dom, make sure this is what you really want. Some bells can't be unrung. Later that night, Dominic visited his daughter's school, gaining access with his parent credentials. In the empty administrative office, he carefully reviewed Haley's records, particularly her emergency contacts and approved guardians list. Vanessa had systematically removed his access over the past year, replacing his information with Arnold's. On paper, he was already being erased from his daughter's life. At home, he slipped into Haley's room while she slept and gently placed a small device beneath her desk, a custom tracking module that would operate independently of her phone. Whatever happened next, he would always know where to find her. The pieces were in place. Only the catalyst remained. Haley's 13th birthday celebration transformed the Kessler penthouse into a showcase of excess. 30 guests, Haley's friends, their parents, Vanessa's gallery associates, and Arnold Thorne hovering at Vanessa's side like he belonged there, filled the gleaming space. Dominic moved through his own home like a ghost, arranging catering, managing staff, ensuring everything was perfect for a daughter who barely acknowledged him. "The cake is amazing," raved Naomi Thornton, mother of Haley's best friend. "You really outdid yourself this year." Dominic nodded politely. Haley mentioned wanting something Instagram-worthy. Apparently, that translates to 5 tears and edible gold leaf. "Well, she's lucky to have parents who can provide all this." Naomi gestured around the lavish space. "Though I hardly see you at school functions anymore." "My work schedule," Dominic began. "Dad just prioritizes differently," Haley interrupted, appearing suddenly with her circle of friends. "Money first, family, whenever." The girls giggled and Dominic maintained his composure. "I think it's time for presents," Naomi exclaimed. The gift-opening ceremony became a parade of expensive offerings. When Dominic presented his, a limited-edition smartphone customized with security features, Haley's expression briefly brightened before she caught her mother's subtle head shake. "Oh, a phone. Thanks," she said flatly, setting it aside for the next gift. Arnold stepped forward with a small velvet box. "This one's special, kiddo." Inside was a rose gold charm bracelet from Tiffany's, each charm representing something personal to Haley. She squealed with delight, throwing her arms around Arnold. "This is exactly what I wanted. Only the best for my favorite girl," Arnold replied, shooting a triumphant glance at Dominic. As the party continued, Dominic retreated to the kitchen under the pretense of checking on dessert. Through the serving window, he watched Arnold holding court among the guests, arm casually draped around Vanessa's waist. Dominic's phone vibrated, an alert from his security system. Someone had accessed his home office. Bringing up the hidden camera feed on his phone, he watched Vanessa and Arnold rifling through his desk. They were looking for something specific. Kuwait project files, most likely. They wouldn't find them. Dominic had anticipated this move. When he returned to the party, the guests had gathered for cake. Haley stood center stage, surrounded by her friends, the new phone from Dominic in her hands as she demonstrated its features. "This is actually pretty cool," she admitted to her circle. "The camera is insane." Vanessa appeared beside her, smile tight. "Just remember not to lose this one like the last expensive gift your father bought." "I won't," Haley replied, then added with a glance toward her mother. "Mom says if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice." The girls erupted in giggles as the adults within earshot chuckled uncomfortably. All eyes turned to Dominic, standing perfectly still at the edge of the gathering. The room seemed to suspend in that moment. Guests awkwardly shifting, Vanessa's smug satisfaction, Arnold's barely concealed amusement, and Haley, suddenly uncertain as she registered her father's expression. Dominic smiled, a small, controlled curve of his lips that never reached his eyes. He nodded once, then stepped forward to light the candles on Haley's cake. "Make a wish," he said softly. Later, as guests mingled and Haley showed off her gifts, Dominic retreated to his office. On his secure tablet, he executed a series of commands. Financial systems accessed. Accounts transferred, services terminated. Years of preparation activated in minutes. The black backpack waited in his car. Inside, 3 encrypted hard drives contained evidence of Arnold and Vanessa's illegal activities, offshore account information, new identification documents, and a detailed plan for what would come next. At midnight, after the last guest departed, Dominic performed one final task. He placed a sealed envelope on Haley's desk, then walked out of the penthouse without looking back. By morning, Dominic Kessler had vanished. 3 days after Dominic's disappearance, chaos enveloped the Kessler household. Vanessa paced the living room, phone pressed to her ear, while Haley sat sullen on the couch. "What do you mean all accounts are frozen?" Vanessa demanded. "I'm his wife. I should have access to our joint accounts." The bank representative explained again. There were no joint accounts. Everything was in Dominic's name alone. And without power of attorney or a death certificate, they could do nothing. "Then report him missing," she hissed. "Ma'am, according to our records, Mr. Kessler called personally 3 days ago to inform us of his extended international business trip. This appears to be a domestic matter, not a banking issue. Vanessa ended the call with a sigh. The electricity had been shut off that morning. The housekeeper quit after learning her payments had stopped. Credit cards were declined. Even the gallery had called. Her salary payment had bounced. "This is just a power play," Arnold assured her, arriving with takeout since the refrigerator was warming. "He'll resurface." "He left this," Haley said quietly, holding up the envelope she'd found. Inside was a key card and a note with an address. The storage unit contained only the black backpack. Inside, a single USB drive and a handwritten note. "For when you're ready to see the truth." Vanessa connected the drive to her laptop. It contained only one video file, security footage from their home, showing Vanessa and Arnold discussing their plans, the manipulation of Haley, their illegal property schemes. "He knew everything," Vanessa whispered, her face pale. "Delete it," Arnold snapped. "This changes nothing. He's gone. We'll adapt." But adaptation proved difficult. Without Dominic's income, the luxury they'd taken for granted evaporated quickly. The penthouse building management issued an eviction notice. The mortgage hadn't been paid in months, predating Dominic's departure. He planned this, Vanessa realized, for a long time. At school, Haley's social standing collapsed as quickly as their finances. No more designer clothes, exclusive parties, or expensive outings. Her friends drifted away, and rumors spread about her family's sudden downfall. Opening her locker one morning, she found an unmarked envelope containing printed screenshots of texts between her and her mother mocking her father. At the bottom, a single typed line. "Is this who you want to be?" Meanwhile, in a modest apartment across town, Grant Reardon met with Dominic, now sporting a close-cropped beard and different glasses. "Project Lazarus is active," Grant confirmed. "Digital footprint erased, new identity established. As far as the world is concerned, Dominic Kessler is on extended assignment in Kuwait." "And Meridian Security?" Dominic asked. "Enhanced. All access codes changed. Vanessa's attempts to access your files have been documented. She's desperate, called the office pretending to be gathering documents for you." Dominic nodded, reviewing the surveillance photos of Vanessa and Haley moving into Arnold's downtown condo. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Across town, Arnold Thorne arrived at his art gallery to find federal agents waiting. Questions about certain acquisitions, provenance documentation, tax declarations. Nothing directly incriminating, but enough to require lawyers and attention. Attention diverted from his property deals. That same day, an anonymous tip led Kuwait business officials to question the authenticity of documents apparently signed by Meridian Holdings. Deals Arnold had been brokering based on stolen information suddenly faced scrutiny. The noose was tightening, slowly but surely. 2 months into Dominic's disappearance, Arnold Thorne's carefully constructed world began crumbling at the edges. His Kuwait property acquisitions fell through when Meridian's actual security assessments proved drastically different from the intelligence Vanessa had provided. The gallery faced increasing regulatory scrutiny, with valuable pieces suddenly requiring authentication. Vanessa found herself trapped in Arnold's downtown condo, her role at the gallery suspended pending investigation. Haley, once the center of an admiring social circle, now sat alone at lunch tables, her former friends whispering about her family's fall from grace. "This is temporary," Arnold insisted over dinner, though the tension in his voice betrayed his concern. "Your husband's game has limits. He'll run out of moves." Vanessa wasn't so certain. "You don't understand Dominic. He doesn't think like normal people. He sees 10 steps ahead, always." "He's just one man," Arnold dismissed, then froze as his phone alerted him to another email. His primary investor was withdrawing support for the Westlake development, the 4th this week. Miles away in a nondescript office building, Dominic sat with a woman named Petra Novak, an immigration attorney with connections to less reputable networks. "Your documentation is impeccable," Petra noted, examining the new identity package. "Though I'm curious why someone with your resources needs my particular services." Dominic slid a file across her desk. "Because I need to disappear completely, but still maintain surveillance on these individuals." Petra reviewed the photos of Arnold, Vanessa, and more reluctantly, "Haley, the child is yours." "Yes. Yet you include her in your surveillance." "I'm not abandoning her. I'm showing her consequences," Dominic replied. Petra's expression remained neutral. "Very well. My associates can maintain observation protocols. What exactly are you looking for?" "Patterns, vulnerabilities, and most importantly, confirmation of certain activities." Dominic provided specifics. Properties Arnold was targeting, meetings with certain investors, school events Haley attended. Later that week, Haley opened her locker to find another anonymous message. A printed photo of her father at her science fair the previous year, a proud smile as he examined her project. She'd forgotten he'd attended. Attached was a brief note. "He was there. Were you?" Haley crumpled the paper, but couldn't bring herself to throw it away. That evening, she attempted to access the custom features on the phone her father had given her, features she'd ignored until now. The advanced security suite included a messaging platform she'd never noticed before. A single message waited from months ago. "When you're ready to know the truth, activate the protection protocol." She hesitated, then closed the app without responding. At Arnold's gallery, a potential buyer for a particularly valuable sculpture turned out to be an art crimes investigator. Nothing came of the visit yet, but Arnold's nerves frayed further. "Someone is targeting us specifically," he told Vanessa that night. "These aren't coincidences." "It's him," Vanessa said quietly. "Dominic is behind everything." "Impossible. He's in Kuwait." "Is he? Have you confirmed that?" "Actually seen him there." Arnold's silence was answer enough. The next morning, Arnold received a plain envelope containing photographs. The photographs showed Arnold entering hotel rooms with women who weren't Vanessa, meeting with individuals known to law enforcement, exchanging packages in parking garages. The message was clear. Someone was watching. Someone knew everything. Across town, Dominic met with Grant to review Meridian's operations. "The Kuwait contract is proceeding perfectly," Grant reported. "Your absence has actually enhanced our security protocols. We've identified 3 more potential leaks, and our special project." Grant slid over a tablet showing surveillance footage of Arnold, increasingly paranoid, checking for tails, installing new security at his properties. "He's cracking," Grant observed. "The gallery is hemorrhaging clients. The Westlake development is stalled, and 3 of his properties are under investigation for permit irregularities." "And Vanessa?" Dominic asked. "Isolated. Her art world contacts have disappeared as rumors spread about the gallery's questionable acquisitions. She's attempted to access your accounts 6 more times." Dominic nodded. "And Haley?" Grant hesitated. "Struggling. Grades dropping. School counselor involved." For the first time, Dominic's expression revealed a flicker of emotion. "Continue monitoring. No direct intervention yet." As he left the meeting, Dominic passed a newsstand featuring Arnold's gallery in the local business section, not for its successes, but for questions about its acquisition practices. The plan was working. Yet that night, reviewing footage of Haley sitting alone in the school cafeteria, Dominic felt the first doubt. Was the collateral damage worth the justice he sought? The question vanished when his secure phone alerted him to a development. Vanessa had contacted his former assistant, attempting to locate supposedly crucial medication he required, a transparent attempt to track him. No, there would be no mercy. The architect's design would be executed to completion. For months after Dominic's disappearance, Arnold Thorne stood in his gallery's storage room, surrounded by crates. His hands trembled slightly as he verified the contents, artwork being quietly moved before authorities could examine them. 3 major pieces had already been questioned for authentication, and his primary art supplier in Eastern Europe had gone silent. His phone rang. The development company financing the Westlake project was on the line. "We're terminating our involvement," the executive said without preamble. "The zoning irregularities and permit questions are attracting too much attention." "You can't just walk away," Arnold hissed. "Contracts that specified clean regulatory approval, which we don't have. The deposit will be refunded minus our expenses." The call ended before Arnold could respond. Millions in potential profits gone. And with them, Arnold's ability to maintain the lifestyle that had attracted Vanessa in the first place. At the condo, Vanessa sorted through job applications. Her reputation in the art world was tarnished by association with Arnold's gallery. Without Dominic's financial support, and with her own accounts empty, desperation was setting in. "Mom, there's no food," Haley called from the kitchen. "Arnold will bring dinner," Vanessa replied automatically. Though Arnold had been working late more frequently, returning with alcohol on his breath and excuses about investor meetings, Haley retreated to her room. No longer the spacious bedroom of their penthouse, but a converted office in Arnold's condo. Her phone, the one from her father, chimed with a notification from the special security app. Another message. "Check the building's mailroom. Box 403. She hesitated, then grabbed the spare key to Arnold's mailbox. Inside box 403, she found a small package with her name. Within, a prepaid credit card and a note. "For essentials, activate the protocol when you're ready." Haley tucked the card into her pocket. She didn't activate the protocol, but she did use the card to order pizza for dinner when Arnold once again failed to return home. Across the city, Dominic sat in a secure room, reviewing the latest surveillance. Arnold's business was imploding exactly as planned. The careful application of pressure at key points, anonymous tips to regulators, strategic information shared with competitors, gradual exposure of questionable practices, all had created a perfect storm. "Phase 3 is ready," Grant informed him, sliding over a folder. "Though I have to ask, is this still about justice, or has it become something else?" Dominic didn't answer immediately. On the screens before him, he could see Haley doing homework alone in the converted office. The collateral damage remained troubling. "It's about consequences," he finally replied. "Everyone made choices. Now they face the results." The next day, Arnold arrived at his gallery to find his assistant ashen-faced. "The Rotterdam collection. The documentation is being questioned by customs. They're holding everything at the port." Arnold felt sweat break out across his forehead. The Rotterdam collection included several pieces with questionable provenance, the exact kind of examination he couldn't afford. "Who initiated the inspection?" he demanded. Anonymous tip, apparently. That evening, Arnold returned to his condo in a foul mood, smelling of whiskey and desperation. Vanessa met him with news of her own. Their joint credit card had been declined for the utility payment. "I can't keep living like this," she said. "We need to find Dominic, make some kind of deal." Arnold's face darkened. "There's no we anymore, Vanessa. Your usefulness ended when your husband cut you off." Haley, listening from her room, felt a cold realization settle over her. Arnold had never cared about either of them. They had been tools to get to her father's money and business information. Later that night, after a bitter argument that ended with Arnold storming out, Haley finally opened the security protocol on her phone. A message appeared immediately. "Are you safe? Do you need immediate assistance?" She typed back, "No immediate danger, but things are bad." The response came seconds later. "Understood. Keep this channel open. Help is available when you request it." Haley stared at the screen, torn between longing for her father's protection and shame at how she treated him. Before she could decide on a response, Vanessa appeared in her doorway. "Pack a bag," she said, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. "We're leaving tomorrow." "Where are we going?" Haley asked. "To your grandmother's in Portland. I've explained our situation." "What about Arnold?" Vanessa's laugh held no humor. Arnold made it clear tonight that our arrangement has ended. He was only interested in what I could provide from your father. The next morning, they were preparing to leave when Arnold returned, clearly hungover and agitated. "You're not going anywhere," he said flatly, blocking the door. "Not until I get what I need." "We have nothing left to give you," Vanessa replied. "Your husband is still out there, watching. He's behind everything that's happening to me." Arnold's eyes held a dangerous gleam. "You're going to help me draw him out." Haley backed away, reaching for her phone. In the special messaging app, she typed quickly, "Need help now. Arnold threatening us." Miles away, Dominic received the alert. Within minutes, police responded to an anonymous call about a domestic disturbance at Arnold's address. By the time they arrived, Arnold had barricaded the door, shouting accusations about conspiracies against him. The standoff ended with Arnold's arrest for obstruction and making threats. As Vanessa and Haley were escorted from the building by officers, a nondescript car pulled alongside them. Grant Reardon rolled down the window. "Mrs. Kessler, I believe we should talk." Phase 3 had begun. In a private conference room at Meridian Holdings, Vanessa sat rigidly across from Grant Reardon. Haley waited outside with a sympathetic assistant who'd provided her with snacks and access to the company's state-of-the-art gaming system. "Where is my husband?" Vanessa demanded. "Officially overseeing our Kuwait operation," Grant replied evenly. "Unofficially, I'm not at liberty to say." "This is absurd. He's destroyed our lives while hiding behind his company." Grant slid a folder across the table. "Your life was not destroyed by Dominic Kessler. It was compromised by your own actions and choices." Inside the folder were transcripts of conversations between Vanessa and Arnold discussing the exploitation of Meridian's confidential information, manipulation of Haley, plans to divorce Dominic once they'd extracted maximum financial benefit. "How dare you?" Vanessa hissed. "Mrs. Kessler, let's not pretend. We have years of documentation. The only reason you're not facing criminal charges is because your husband has chosen a different approach." Vanessa's composure finally cracked. "What does he want?" "Money. The penthouse." "What?" "Justice," Grant said simply. "And a reckoning for everyone involved." He placed a contract before her. "This offers financial support for Haley. Living expenses, education fund, health care, all placed in a trust Dominic has established. You receive a modest stipend conditional upon several requirements, including supervised visitation with your daughter." "Supervised? She's my daughter." "And you used her as a weapon against her father. Custody arrangements will be determined by the court, with evidence Dominic has prepared." Vanessa stared at the document, reality crashing down around her. "And if I refuse? Then the considerable evidence of your conspiracy with Arnold Thorne will be provided to prosecutors. The choice is yours." Meanwhile, in a downtown detention center, Arnold Thorne faced his own visitor. Dominic Kessler, appearing as himself for the first time in months, sat across from Arnold. Gone was the beard, the glasses, the disguise. In their place, the calculated precision that had made him a security legend. "You," Arnold breathed. "You've been behind everything." "Not everything," Dominic corrected. "You built the foundation of your own destruction through greed and poor choices. I simply accelerated the inevitable." "What do you want?" "Money. Your wife back." Dominic's smile never reached his eyes. "I want nothing from you, Arnold. I've already taken everything that matters. Your reputation, your business prospects, your freedom." He placed a document on the table. "The Federal Art Crimes Division has received comprehensive evidence of your gallery's irregularities. The SEC has documentation regarding your attempts to manipulate property markets using stolen information. Your investors have been fully briefed on your actual financial position." Arnold's face drained of color. "You can't prove any of that." "I don't need to prove it all. Just enough to start the investigations. The authorities will handle the rest." Dominic stood to leave. "Consider this meeting a professional courtesy. Your life as you knew it is over. Across town, Haley sat in Grant's office, picking at a sandwich. Is my dad coming? She finally asked. Grant studied her carefully. That depends on several factors, including what you want. I don't know what I want, she admitted. Everything's so messed up now. Actions have consequences, Grant said gently. For everyone involved, even me. Especially for those old enough to know better. He slid her phone across the desk, the special one from her father. The protection protocol is still active. If you truly want to speak with him, that's the way. That evening, in a secure Meridian facility, Dominic reviewed surveillance footage of Vanessa leaving the building. Contract signed. Arnold remained in detention. Bail denied due to flight risk. Everything was proceeding according to plan. His secure phone buzzed with an alert from Haley's protection protocol. Are you ever coming back? For the first time in months, Dominic's carefully constructed veneer cracked slightly. He typed back, "Do you want me to?" The response came after a long pause. "I think so. I'm sorry." Dominic stared at the message. The architect in him calculated risks, vulnerabilities, potential deceptions. The father in him wanted to believe. "We need to talk first. Tomorrow. Meridian office. 10 a.m. The response was immediate. "I'll be there." The Meridian Holdings conference room felt cavernous with just 2 occupants. Dominic sat perfectly still, watching his daughter fidget across the table. Haley looked smaller somehow, the expensive clothes and practiced confidence replaced by department store jeans and uncertainty. "You look different," she finally said. "So do you." Silence stretched between them. 13 years of love, and the recent months of betrayal created a chasm neither knew how to bridge. "Why did you leave like that?" Haley finally asked. "You just disappeared. Would you have preferred I stay after what happened at your party?" Haley flinched. "I didn't think you'd actually go." Nobody did. That was their miscalculation. Another silence. Haley twisted a paper clip between her fingers. "Mom says you're punishing us. That you could have just filed for divorce like a normal person. This was never about punishment. It was about consequences and justice." "It feels like punishment," Haley muttered. Dominic studied his daughter carefully. "Tell me something, Haley. When did I become the villain in your story?" The question caught her off guard. "I don't know. It just happened. Mom would say things and Arnold would agree, and it seemed like you were never there to defend yourself. Did you ever consider I might have a different perspective? That there might be reasons for my absences beyond not caring?" Tears welled in Haley's eyes. "I guess not. It was easier to believe what they said." "Yes, it often is easier to accept a simple story than look for a complex truth." Dominic slid a tablet across the table. On the screen, a calendar spanning the past 3 years. Highlighted dates showed school events, doctor appointments, performances, dozens of them. The blue highlights are events I attended. The red are ones I missed because of work. The yellow are ones your mother told me were canceled or rescheduled, but actually occurred as originally planned. Haley scrolled through, seeing the pattern. Far more yellow than red. "She lied to you," Dominic continued evenly. "And to me, for years, part of a systematic campaign to alienate us from each other, while she and Arnold advanced their own agenda. But why? What did they want? Access, information. Meridian security assessments gave them advanced knowledge of major international developments. Perfect for property speculation and investment if you know which regions are about to become secure or strategically important." Understanding dawned on Haley's face. They were using us. Yes. And now, what happens to Mom? To me? Dominic activated a screen on the wall, displaying the trust documentation. "Your future is secured. Education, housing, healthcare, all provided for in a trust I've established. Your mother has signed custody arrangements, giving me primary custody with supervised visitation for her, pending therapy and certain legal requirements. And Arnold Thorne will face the legal consequences of his actions. The evidence has been provided to the appropriate authorities. Haley absorbed this, then asked the question that truly mattered. What about us? You and me. For the first time, Dominic's expression softened slightly. That depends on what you want, Haley. I can't forget what happened. But I've never stopped being your father. Even after what you said at the party, words have power. They can wound deeply. But you're 13, still learning that lesson. He paused. I'm offering you a chance to rebuild, not a blank slate. There's a difference. Tears spilled down Haley's cheeks. I don't deserve it. Perhaps not. But it's available nonetheless. Across town, Vanessa sat in her mother's Portland guest room, staring at the custody agreement. Primary physical custody to Dominic. Supervised visitation for her. Financial support conditional on therapy, parenting classes, and full disclosure about her activities with Arnold. Her phone rang. Her former assistant at the gallery was on the line. Federal agents are here. They're seizing records, artwork, everything. They're asking about you specifically. Vanessa ended the call, heart pounding. The walls were closing in. Her phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Justice comes in many forms. Choose yours carefully. At the detention center, Arnold received devastating news from his attorney. Based on evidence provided anonymously, federal prosecutors are pursuing charges for art fraud, securities violations, conspiracy, and attempted extortion. Your assets have been frozen pending investigation. How bad is it? Arnold asked, already knowing the answer. With the evidence they have, you're looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. As his attorney detailed the case against him, Arnold realized the full extent of Dominic's vengeance. Every illegal action, every questionable deal, every betrayal had been documented and provided to authorities in meticulous detail. The architect had designed Arnold's destruction with the same precision he brought to everything else. 1 year later, Dominic stood at the windows of a different penthouse, watching the Seattle skyline through falling rain. Behind him, Haley worked on homework at the dining table, occasionally asking for help with algebra problems. Their relationship remained a work in progress, trust rebuilding slowly through consistent presence and honesty. The past year had brought major adjustments for both. Haley attended a new school, made new friends who knew nothing of the family drama. Dominic had restructured his work at Meridian to allow more predictable hours. His phone buzzed with a news alert. Art dealer sentenced to 18 years for fraud, conspiracy. Arnold Thorne's trial had concluded with a devastating sentence. The man who had attempted to steal Dominic's life had lost his own freedom instead. Dad, Haley called from the table. Can you check this equation? Such a simple request, yet one that would have been unimaginable a year ago. Dominic set down his phone and joined his daughter, reviewing her work. You're on the right track, but check your factoring here. As they worked through the problem together, Dominic's secure phone alerted him to a different matter. Vanessa had filed a petition to amend the visitation schedule. Her required therapy sessions and parenting classes were complete. She was requesting additional time with Haley. Everything okay? Haley asked, noticing his expression. Yes, just work. He slipped the phone away. That decision could wait until tomorrow. Later that evening, after Haley had gone to bed, Dominic sat in his home office reviewing the extensive security system that still monitored various aspects of his former life. Old habits died hard, and vigilance had kept him alive. Grant arrived for their weekly strategy meeting, carrying a bottle of scotch and the latest Meridian reports. The Kuwait project exceeded projections, Grant reported, pouring them each a glass, and the new security protocols have been implemented globally. Good. Dominic accepted the drink, but didn't immediately review the reports. Vanessa's petition arrived today. Grant nodded. Expected. Her attorney contacted me last week. She's followed every requirement to the letter. The question is whether it's genuine rehabilitation or simply strategic compliance. Does it matter? The agreement you designed gives you final authority regardless. Dominic contemplated this. A year ago, I would have denied the petition without consideration. No. Now you're thinking of Haley, Grant observed. That's natural. I'm thinking of justice versus vengeance, Dominic corrected. The line between them isn't always clear. Grant studied his friend. You've changed. I've evolved. There's a difference. They discussed business matters for another hour before Grant departed. Alone again, Dominic accessed his most secure files. The complete documentation of the past year's events, the comprehensive surveillance, the strategic application of pressure, the carefully orchestrated destruction of those who had betrayed him. His original plan had been absolute. No forgiveness, no redemption, no second chances for anyone involved. Yet here he was, considering Vanessa's petition, allowing Haley back into his life despite her participation in his humiliation. Had he softened? Become weak? No. The architect had simply redesigned his approach based on new information. Adaptation wasn't weakness. It was intelligent strategy. Dominic closed the files and poured another scotch. The rain continued to fall against the window, a soft rhythm marking the passage of time. Tomorrow, he would review Vanessa's petition objectively, making his decision based on what best served justice and Haley's well-being. He would remain vigilant, continue monitoring, never again be blindsided by betrayal. Some lessons, once learned, could never be unlearned. Trust, once broken, could be rebuilt, but never to its original specifications. The architect knew this better than anyone. His phone chimed with a message from Grant. Federal prosecutors requesting your testimony in Arnold's remaining cases. Thoughts? Dominic smiled coldly. Schedule it. Some designs require the architect's personal touch. He moved to the window again, watching raindrops trace paths down the glass. Each droplet followed the path of least resistance. Yet together, they created patterns of remarkable complexity. Like people, like consequences, like justice. The architect had designed a perfect disappearance, followed by a methodical reappearance. He had dismantled the lives of those who betrayed him, piece by calculated piece. If he now chose to show selective mercy to his daughter, it wasn't weakness. It was simply another facet of his design. Some might call it forgiveness. Dominic Kessler called it strategic recalibration. Either way, he had proven beyond doubt. Disappearing was only the beginning of his revenge. It was in the return, the calculated, precision-engineered return, that true justice was served.